This is a response to the fact that there are so many men out there hurting. And I think one of the things that I really try to do, instead of being presumptuous about what people need or what our community needs, is to really listen to the input they give as they participate in our events.
He says men and their grief isn't always acknowledged, and this is an effort to provide that kind of space.
I think the greatest thing this event provides is an acknowledgement that there are others who are aware of their pain and want to help them through that process.
Dozens of men came to the brunch where they discussed healing tools like meditation.
We also have some therapists coming who are going to offer pro bono services, and really what they want to do is help people who are interested to start the process. You know, it's not necessarily a mandatory thing, but it's just extending that helping hand.
Harris says many people impacted by gun violence carry the injuries with them for the rest of their lives, thus affecting others in their lives.
For me, it was just how can I pour back into them to help them have the reserves for the people they love.
A healing place for fathers as they go through the grieving process.
My real hope is that it inspires other people to think, how can I put myself in a position to pour into others or to help or to realize as an individual that doesn't stop me from impacting my city or my community.
If you'd like to learn more about the brunch or get involved, we'll have more information on our website at kgw.com. Galen?
Christelle Kume reporting live in our studios tonight. Certainly thinking of all of those families. Thank you so much, Christelle. Another Portland family hopes you can help find a loved one with memory issues who has been missing since yesterday morning. Portland police are helping look out for 79-year-old Charlene Otis. You can see her right here. Otis left her home in the Hazelwood neighborhood and may be unable to return because of dementia. 2 tracking dogs lost her scent near a TriMet bus stop near Southeast 162nd and Mill Street. Today, the family released this picture of Otis as well in a black hat that they think she may have been wearing. If you do see her or know where she is, you're asked to call 911. Several people are recovering from a pair of rough crashes northwest of Salem this morning. Here's the first one here. Firefighters responded to this crash just before 6 this morning. 2 vehicles collided near Rick Reel Road and Ford in Polk County. 1 person was pulled out and taken to the hospital. We are waiting to hear about that person's condition and what caused that crash. Now, the other crash in Polk County was this one this morning just before 7:30. Police were called to Highway 22 and Smithfield. In this case, 1 person was also taken to the hospital. We have not heard how that person is doing. And police closed the highway for about 20 minutes as crews from Dallas Fire Department and EMS helped out. They said driving conditions were not very good because of visibility either. So Southwest Polk Fire asks that you be extra careful when driving in fog. Well, a few hours after launching a website to give out free at-home COVID tests, the Washington Department of Health is now out of them. The Say Yes COVID Test website launched yesterday morning after the State Department of Health gave a brief press conference, and hundreds of thousands of tests were gone by 6 last night. The website is still active, and you can see if you're eligible for free tests, but they won't actually be available until Washington gets another shipment. The idea was to allow people to order up to 5 at-home antigen tests, but health officials knew that wouldn't be possible right away.
You will only be able to order 1 kit for your household initially, based on the fact that we have a limited supply. So once you've ordered your kit, until we have a vastly different supply chain, you would not be able to reorder another one.
Now, Washington does expect more tests over the next 2 weeks, so keep checking that website if you need some. That's the sayyescovidtest.org. It only ships to people with Washington addresses. Now, the Omicron variant is proving again it is hard to know where COVID-19 will take us, but health experts in Multnomah County are looking ahead toward getting past the pandemic phase of this disease. Our Tim Gordon explains how.
We have passed the 2-year mark since the first case of COVID-19 was identified. In fact, it was in the Pacific Northwest. There has been a lot of disease and death since then. But even with the Omicron not yet peaked, Multnomah County health officials Dr. Jennifer Vines and Jessica Guernsey are preparing for what they hope will be a slow, steady climb out of the pandemic.
We are still optimistic about the one-way street. I think the major caveat, let me just get that out up front, is that the virus calls the shots.
The virus calls the shots, but eventually we will get to a place where COVID becomes endemic, meaning it doesn't disappear, but fades and is more manageable with other priorities.
I think part of our job is understanding that there's real fear and there are risks that come with COVID, but starting to broaden our view of what it is we're trying to do here around health and health of the county in particular, and having to zoom out a bit from just COVID.
These health experts say zooming out does not mean giving up. And that is especially important addressing ongoing racial and ethnic disparities that COVID has more fully uncovered.
When people ask me, are we ever going back? We shouldn't go back. We shouldn't go back. And what I mean broadly by that is that we have numerous health outcomes that are devastating in BIPOC communities that we need to continue to focus on.
For now, the direct and indirect effects of the virus continue. And while this spring may provide some relief for respiratory illnesses, there is no date set for leaving the pandemic.
But I think in general, the hope is that with time and with enough of us getting some level of protection, that COVID becomes less disruptive to our lives, even though we still have a clear mandate to protect those who are vulnerable to it.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
All right, so let's talk mask mandate and the impact. As COVID cases start to plateau in Central Oregon, mask enforcement at stores and businesses there tends to vary. A Prineville store owner, for example, says she's still enforcing that policy, but it comes at a cost for her. Tracy Haley co-owns the Yo Central frozen yogurt shop, and she's a cancer survivor and immunocompromised. She says other stores in the area seem to let mask wearing go, but with her situation, she doesn't feel safe to risk that. Oregon OSHA says it is still actively enforcing mask wearing policies as well, but some people are not on board.
So if you go to a store and they have a sign that says mask required, do you put one on?
No, I don't. I don't think they need to be worn anywhere.
Now, Haley says she has lost business for enforcing this, been called names and even harassed over the phone, but she's sticking to mask enforcement. Oregon OSHA has issued at least 219 citations and more than $100,000 in fines since the pandemic began. And speaking of masks, better protection is coming for those who need it. Millions of N95 face masks from the federal government are on the way to local pharmacies as we speak. But if you're looking to pick one up in Oregon, you may have to wait a bit. They're expected to arrive next week and be on shelves soon after that. Officials say at first there will be a limit of 3 per person. They say the masks will mainly be available at stores participating in the federal retail pharmacy program. That's like Fred Meyer, Safeway, Costco. It could be a while before they get to the smaller locations because of worker shortages.
There is a staff shortage of both pharmacists and technicians across the state and the country right now. So there's long lines, and we understand that people are having to wait to get their prescriptions, and sometimes that's not available for days at a time.
A full list of participating stores is available on the CDC's website.